Have you ever stopped to think that much of what science is discovering today was already announced decades ago? What if I told you that Emmanuel, Chico Xavier's mentor spirit, already spoke about secrets of the universe that are now beginning to be proven by modern physics? Stay with me until the end. What you're about to discover now could change the way you understand life, cosmos, and even your own existence. Emmanuel wasn't just a spirit who conveyed messages. He was someone capable of seeing beyond what human eyes can perceive. His words, recorded through the psychography of Chico Xavier, offered profound reflections on the energy that connects us, the harmony of the universe, and the mysteries that still escape our comprehension. He spoke of invisible laws, the interconnectedness of all things, and human consciousness as part of something much greater. And the most striking thing is that, at the time, these ideas seemed almost utopian, something only faith could sustain. But science is now arriving exactly where Emmanuel warned us. Research into quantum physics, energy, and even consciousness itself is gradually confirming what he so clearly stated. Just imagine, concepts that once sounded spiritual or philosophical now gain scientific backing. It's as if the veil between science and spirituality is beginning to lift, revealing that perhaps there are more hidden truths in the universe than we ever imagined. Have you ever wondered why these messages remain so relevant? Why, even decades later, do they still manage to profoundly touch those who read or hear them? The answer lies in Emmanuel's essence. His words were not just spiritual advice, but true maps of the universe, guides to understanding our place within it. And the most fascinating thing is to realize that what he said was not limited to mystical theories, but realities that modern science is beginning to confirm. What you'll discover next isn't just another curiosity about the spiritual world. It's a meeting point between two forms of knowledge that, for a long time, seemed completely separate, science and spirituality. And it's precisely here that Emmanuel proves himself ahead of his time. As someone who understood the universe, not just as matter and space, but as energy, consciousness, and infinite possibilities. Stay with me, because the next part will reveal exactly which modern scientific discovery aligns with everything Emmanuel has been saying for decades. It's something that may surprise you, shake your beliefs, and, above all, inspire a new way of seeing life. Imagine realizing that what you believed spiritually for years is now echoed in recent scientific studies. It's a bridge between worlds that, until now, seemed distant. And it's not just a matter of intellectual curiosity. This connection between science and spirituality has the power to transform the way we approach our daily lives, our choices, and the very way we relate to the universe. If you've ever experienced moments of doubt, questioning, or searching for answers, get ready. What follows will expand your vision and, perhaps, change the way you perceive the reality around you. Now, before revealing the scientific discovery that proves something Emmanuel already said, let's dive a little deeper into what he actually taught about the universe and how these messages apply to today's world. Have you ever stopped to consider that there's something much greater surrounding us? Something that connects our every thought, every gesture, and every choice to an invisible yet profoundly real whole? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover may surprise you and transform the way you see the universe and your own life. Emmanuel, Chico Xavier's mentor spirit, has dedicated decades to transmitting messages that reveal precisely this reality. That everything in the cosmos is interconnected by subtle laws, that the energy surrounding us is alive, that our consciousness is far more powerful and comprehensive than we imagine. According to Emmanuel, the universe is not just an empty space filled with stars and planets, but rather a dynamic web of energy, light, and purpose. He taught us that everything that happens around us has a reason, that every experience, no matter how simple or challenging it may seem, is part of a greater plan of learning and evolution. And it's not just an abstract spiritual idea. When you observe everyday life, you realize that small actions can have enormous impacts, that kindness, positive thinking, and true intention create effects that go beyond our immediate perception. Have you ever experienced situations where you felt something was guiding your choices, or where unlikely coincidences only seemed to make sense later? Emmanuel drew attention to this kind of interconnection, showing that our lives are like a chain, where each link influences the next. He said through Chico Xavier's psychographies that nothing happens by chance in the universe, and that understanding this law of interconnection is fundamental to finding peace and balance. It's as if we were all connected by invisible threads of energy, and our every thought or feeling reverberated in this immense universal fabric. And the most fascinating thing is realizing that these teachings are not merely philosophical. They offer comfort and hope. Emmanuel showed that, even in moments of pain or uncertainty, there is a higher logic guiding the universe, something that protects and teaches us. It's impossible to read these messages without feeling a kind of inner clarity, as if suddenly some questions that previously seemed unanswered begin to fall into place. And that's precisely why his words remain so timely and impactful. They speak directly to our consciousness, reminding us that we are part of something greater, that our lives have meaning, and that our every action resonates with the whole. To make these concepts even more relevant to our reality, just look at small examples from everyday life. When we help someone without expecting anything in return, when we feel gratitude for simple things, or even when we stop to reflect on our actions, we are practicing this connection that Emmanuel so often mentioned. He invited us to realize that each positive thought is like a wave of energy that touches the entire universe, and that by aligning our choices with this greater consciousness, we can transform not only our lives but also the environment around us. Spirituality. Experts and consciousness researchers often cite Emmanuel's messages as a reference for understanding the interconnection between mind, energy, and the universe. Excerpts from books psychographed by Chico Xavier repeatedly reinforce this, showing that his words were more than philosophy. They were practical guidance on how to live with purpose, love, and responsibility. And it is precisely this message that we will explore in the next few minutes, connecting spiritual teachings with concrete examples that make sense to anyone, regardless of their beliefs. Now, imagine for a moment that everything Emmanuel told us about energy, interconnection, and consciousness begins to be supported by modern scientific discoveries. What does this mean for us? How might this change the way we understand the universe and our role in it? Stay with me, because the next part will delve even deeper into this connection between Emmanuel's wisdom and the reality of the world we live in. And you'll realize something few truly see. Have you ever imagined that what we once believed to be merely philosophy or spirituality could actually have scientific backing? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover could completely transform the way you understand the universe, the energy that surrounds us, and even your own role within it. In recent years, researchers in quantum physics and consciousness studies have made discoveries that, impressively, converge with everything Emmanuel, Chico Xavier's mentor spirit, has been telling us for decades. What once seemed merely a spiritual message is now beginning to be understood as a tangible reality by scientists. Imagine for a moment that concepts that once sounded abstract, such as the interconnectedness of everything that exists, the flow of energy permeating the cosmos, and the influence of human thought on the environment around us, are beginning to be confirmed by rigorous experiments and research. This is exactly what is happening now. Emmanuel spoke of the subtle laws of the universe, the energy that unites all things, and human consciousness is something that goes far beyond the physical body. And the most surprising thing is to realize that modern science, with all its formulas and laboratories, is reaching the same conclusions he conveyed decades ago. Have you ever felt like something greater was guiding your steps, even if you couldn't see it? This kind of perception, which Emmanuel called an understanding of universal laws, is now supported by studies that show how everything in the universe is dynamically and intelligently connected. Researchers have discovered evidence that energy and consciousness can influence matter, and that the interaction between observer and phenomenon is not just theory, but a measurable reality. It's as if science is finally putting numbers and experiments to work on what spirituality already affirmed, that the universe is alive, conscious, and interconnected. And it is precisely this point that generates so much curiosity and, at the same time, fascination. Many scientists are still perplexed by these discoveries because they challenge the traditional view of a purely material world. But for those familiar with the messages psychographed by Chico Xavier and attributed to Emmanuel, this is no surprise. He said that nothing is isolated, that everything resonates in harmony with invisible laws, and that understanding this truth helps us live with greater balance, purpose, and clarity. Every thought, every choice, every gesture reverberates in the universe, creating consequences that we often only realize later. What you'll realize next is that this convergence of science and spirituality is not only fascinating in itself, but also deeply inspiring. By understanding that Emmanuel already knew about these subtle interactions, that he already warned us about the energy that connects us and the consciousness that transcends the physical, we can begin to see the universe in a more complete, more poetic, and, at the same time, more scientific way. It's an invitation to open our minds and hearts, to realize that what seemed distant or inaccessible is part of our everyday reality, and that spiritual wisdom can guide us in understanding phenomena we previously thought impossible. Stay with me, because in the next stage, we'll delve even deeper into this scientific discovery that surprisingly confirms everything Emmanuel said about the universe. We'll explore how these revelations can transform not only how we understand the cosmos, but also how we live our lives, how we relate to others, and how we perceive our own consciousness within this immense universal fabric. And when you grasp the magnitude of this connection, you'll understand why his messages remain so timely and capable of touching anyone. Seeking profound answers? Have you ever stopped to think about what your life would be like if you truly understood the interconnectedness of everything in the universe? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover could change the way you view your choices, your relationships, and even the way you live each day. Emmanuel, Chico Xavier's mentor spirit, left us messages that are not just words of comfort, but true practical guides on how to live with greater awareness, purpose, and harmony. He reminded us that every thought, every action, and every decision reverberates in the world around us, and that understanding this universal law can transform even the simplest moments of our daily lives. If you've ever experienced situations where your actions seemed too small to make a difference, now is the time to reflect. What if every gesture had a real impact? Not just on you, but on the entire fabric of the universe? Emmanuel spoke about the energy that connects us, about how our choices can generate ripples that reach far beyond what we can perceive. He invited us to observe, think, and act responsibly, showing that it is possible to live more consciously, creating positive effects not only in our lives, but also in the lives of those around us. Imagine applying this wisdom to your daily life. Every kind word, every conscious decision, every moment you choose to act with love or understanding is a direct reflection of this universal interconnection that Emmanuel emphasized. And it's not just about abstract spirituality, it's something we can feel, perceive, and put into practice. When you understand that everything is connected, you begin to observe your actions differently, recognize opportunities for good, and find greater meaning even in the challenges and difficulties that life presents. Have you ever stopped to think about how small changes in attitude could transform your world? What if instead of reacting automatically to problems, you could pause, reflect, and consciously choose how to act? Taking into account this invisible network of energy and consciousness that Emmanuel taught us? Stay with me, because reflecting on this not only broadens our vision, but also gives us tools to live with more balance, peace, and clarity. Writing about these insights, meditating on them, or simply contemplating the impact of our choices can be the first step toward profound transformation. And when we begin to realize that our decisions, thoughts, and feelings are interconnected with something greater, a sense of responsibility and, at the same time, empowerment arises. We are not alone, and our lives have more meaning than we imagine. Emmanuel showed us that understanding this connection is not just a matter of belief, but of observation and daily practice. It's realizing that life is an opportunity to learn, to evolve, and to contribute to the balance of the universe around us now. Imagine applying this to your relationships, your work, your personal choices. Every act of kindness, every conscious reflection, every positive intention becomes part of an infinite web of energy that touches far more than we can imagine. If you've ever been curious about what it means to live truly consciously, now's the time to start applying these lessons. And the most fascinating thing is that Emmanuel's wisdom remains as relevant today as it was when he transmitted these messages through Chico Xavier, showing that spirituality and science can work together to guide us in everyday life. Stay with me, because the next step is to understand how you can transform these reflections into concrete actions in your daily life, harnessing the energy of the universe and the knowledge Emmanuel shared to live a more fulfilled, conscious, and connected life. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what resonated most with you or how these reflections on the interconnectedness of the universe and Emmanuel's messages resonate in your own life. Each comment is an opportunity to share experiences, feelings, and learnings, and it's incredible to see how each person sees and applies these teachings uniquely. Your participation here isn't just a form of interaction, it's what helps this channel grow, allowing more people to access content that inspires, provokes reflection, and helps them see the world and their own lives more deeply. If you feel like these ideas resonate with you, be sure to like the video. A simple like shows that this type of content is relevant and helps strengthen the community of people interested in spirituality. Messages from beyond and reflections on consciousness and energy. Each like and share is like a small wave of positive energy that helps spread knowledge and inspiration to more people who, like you, seek answers and understanding. And if you haven't subscribed yet, take this opportunity to join this community. By subscribing, you're not only ensuring that you'll continue watching transformative videos like this one, but you're also helping the channel continue to grow and reach more people with messages that truly make a difference. It's a simple but powerful gesture that helps keep this space alive, active, and able to touch more and more hearts. Stay with me, because from here on, we'll explore even more deeply how to apply Emmanuel's reflections in our daily lives, transforming knowledge into concrete actions that can change the way you live, feel, and perceive the world around you, and how this wisdom can truly become practical in your everyday life. Did you know that decades ago, Emmanuel spoke about something that science is only now beginning to confirm? It seems almost unbelievable to think that concepts that seem so spiritual, so abstract, are now finding echoes in modern studies of energy, consciousness, and the very structure of the universe. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover could transform the way you see not only the world around you, but your own journey, your decisions, and the way you connect with everything and everyone around you. Emmanuel wasn't a distant prophet, isolated in difficult words or enigmatic messages. He was a guide who, through the psychography of Chico Xavier, left his teachings about life, consciousness, and the universe that remain surprisingly relevant. He spoke about the interconnectedness of all things, about the energy that permeates every human gesture, every thought, and every emotion, and about how these small vibrations influence the web of the cosmos in invisible but real ways. Imagine looking at your daily life and realizing that every attitude, every decision, every choice of thought has a far greater impact than you could imagine, as if you were part of a universal symphony in which everything resonates in harmony or dissonance, and it's not just metaphors or spiritual advice. Emmanuel showed us that there is a hidden truth behind what we perceive with our five senses, a truth that connects the physical, mental, and spiritual. He spoke of universal laws that govern not only the cosmos, but also our daily lives, guiding us toward more conscious decisions and an existence more aligned with the energy that connects us to everything. His every word, every message psychographed by Chico Xavier, carried the intention of awakening us to this deeper reality, revealing that spirituality and science, albeit at different times, are moving toward similar discoveries about the workings of the universe. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic because this is where things get truly fascinating. Recent research in quantum physics has demonstrated that the observer influences reality, that energy and matter are not separate but part of the same field, and that our consciousness has more impact on the world than most people realize. When you understand this, You begin to realize that Emmanuel wasn't just conveying spiritual messages for comfort or inspiration. He was preparing us to understand that our consciousness is an active force, capable of interacting with the universe in ways that science is only now able to measure and confirm. Have you ever stopped to reflect on how many times small decisions have completely changed the course of your life, even without you understanding why at the time? This is exactly the kind of insight Emmanuel offered us. He invited us to realize that when we are conscious of our choices, we begin to perceive the impact each action has on the whole. It's as if we are constantly releasing waves of energy that reverberate, reaching people, situations, and even events we would never have imagined. The difference is that before all of this was perceived as spirituality or philosophy, now these same ideas are finding support in measurements, experiments, and scientific theories that study energy, consciousness, and the behavior of the universe. What's most impressive is how these messages continue to touch us. They're not just ancient words in psychographed books. They're revelations about life itself, about how to live more consciously and how to perceive patterns that, at first glance, seem hidden or random. Emmanuel spoke of harmony, purpose, and energy, and each concept connects directly with how we understand fields like quantum physics, neuroscience, and theories of global consciousness today. It's as if he were showing us behind the scenes of life, revealing that there is a universal intelligence that governs the invisible laws of the cosmos. And that understanding this allows us to make decisions that are more aligned, clearer, and more connected to the truth that surrounds us. And when you begin to perceive this interconnection, a transformation begins to occur internally. We begin to understand that our daily choices are not small or insignificant. They have an impact even if we can't immediately measure it. Every thought, every intention, every gesture of care or love becomes part of a larger flow. And Emmanuel showed us with stunning clarity how we can navigate this flow more consciously, how we can align with this universal energy and transform our mindset, our perception, and even our daily reality. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because understanding Emmanuel's wisdom about the universe isn't just about contemplation. It's about applying these principles in a practical way and feeling the effects of a more conscious life, more connected, and more aligned with the laws that govern everything around us. Think about what your daily routine would be like if every decision were made with this awareness. If every gesture were a reflection of your understanding of energy, impact, and interconnection. Imagine perceiving life more clearly, seeing patterns that previously seemed invisible, and understanding that, even in the simplest details, there is a greater intelligence guiding the flow of things. This awareness, this expanded vision, is something Emmanuel conveyed in an extraordinary way, in which we increasingly find modern evidence to support. The feeling of realizing that there is an invisible harmony, that our lives are deeply connected, and that our thoughts have power is transformative. It's an opportunity to look within and recognize that life doesn't happen by chance, but as part of a larger journey, full of meaning and possibilities. Now, as you reflect on all this, I want you to pause mentally for a moment and think, if this energy Emmanuel described is always present, how can you begin to notice and align your own actions with it? What small changes in your routine, your way of thinking, or your decisions could have a positive impact, not just on you, but on everything around you? This is the kind of reflection that connects us with ancient wisdom and modern discoveries, creating a meeting point between spirituality and science, between philosophy and practice, between energy and consciousness. Comment there. I'm on this journey too. Have you ever stopped to imagine what life would be like if we could clearly and concretely perceive that everything is connected? That every thought, every choice, and every feeling isn't lost in the void, but reverberates in something much larger, touching not only our reality, but that of people, situations, and even the very fabric of the universe? Emmanuel, Chico Xavier's mentor spirit, spent decades conveying this message in an extremely practical and understandable way. And even today, his words have the power to touch us deeply, because they reveal something that science and spirituality are only beginning to grasp: the interconnectedness of everything that exists, the energy that surrounds us, the consciousness that guides us in an invisible but real way. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because this is where true transformation begins. Emmanuel didn't just speak of abstract spiritual concepts. He offered us a concrete understanding of how the universe works and how we can align with it. He explained that the energy surrounding us is dynamic, that our intentions shape not only our daily lives but also the very environment in which we live, and that human consciousness is not just a reflection of the brain, but an active force capable of interacting with the cosmos. Imagine realizing that every word you say, every thought you cultivate, is creating ripples of impact that go far beyond what you can see or feel at that moment. It's as if we are all connected by an invisible network, and every action we take resonates with this network, generating effects that can be subtle or transformative to make this even more tangible. Think about everyday situations. The simple act of helping someone without expecting anything in return, or offering a word of comfort, has an effect that extends far beyond the moment. Emmanuel emphasized that these actions, however small they may seem, carry energy, shape situations, and influence people in ways we often can't immediately grasp. And this is one of the most powerful lessons he left us, that awareness and intentionality are not just theoretical concepts, but real tools we can use to create positive impact, improve relationships, and even transform the way we face challenges. Have you ever experienced moments when you felt something guiding your steps, even without realizing it? This kind of perception is exactly what Emmanuel called alignment with the laws of the universe. He said, and this is recorded in several of Chico Xavier's psychographies, that nothing happens by chance, and every experience is an opportunity for learning and growth. It's an invitation to view life not as a sequence of random events, but as a journey full of meaning, where every decision and every thought is relevant, even when the results are not yet visible. Spirituality. Experts and researchers of modern consciousness often cite Emmanuel as a notable reference for understanding this interconnection between mind, energy, and the universe. They point out that his messages are not only inspiring, they are revelations about how we can live more consciously, noticing patterns, learning to align our mindset with the energy around us, and making more conscious decisions that positively reverberate in the world. It's an approach that allows us to perceive life as a continuous flow of interactions, where each choice creates new possibilities, new opportunities for learning and transformation. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because understanding this message is not just a matter of contemplation, but of practical application. Think about what your daily life would be like if you truly understood the interconnectedness of everything that exists. Every decision, every gesture, every word, even the simplest, could be seen as part of a larger symphony, where the impact of each action reverberates through the invisible web of the universe. Emmanuel showed us that true consciousness is not just mentally noticing this, but integrating this awareness into daily practice, acting with intention, observing attentively, and choosing wisely, recognizing that every moment in life is an opportunity to create something meaningful. And this understanding brings comfort and meaning, especially in moments of doubt or difficulty, knowing that there is a logic, an invisible order, that everything is interconnected, allows us to face challenges with greater serenity and clarity. Emmanuel conveyed that when we understand these subtle laws, we begin to live in a more aligned way, with more empathy, awareness, and responsibility. It's a way of perceiving life as something greater than ourselves. Without feeling small or insignificant in the face of adversity, every gesture, no matter how small, has power and meaning. By applying these messages to our daily lives, we begin to notice the transformation happening naturally. Relationships become more harmonious, decisions more aligned, and the impact we make on the world becomes more positive. It's a mindset shift that doesn't require major revolutions, but rather small, consistent adjustments. Observing our intentions and understanding that each action is part of a larger network of energy and consciousness. Every moment we choose to act with attention and purpose, we are, in a way, contributing to the balance of the universe itself, aligning our personal journey with the hidden truth that Emmanuel taught us. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, Because understanding these messages also leads us to reflect on our own consciousness, how we can expand it beyond what we perceive. Imagine realizing that the human mind is not just an organ that processes information, but a true instrument of connection with the whole, capable of interacting with the universe in subtle yet meaningful ways. Every positive thought, every clear intention, and every conscious gesture become parts of a much larger mechanism, creating impact, transforming situations, and even revealing patterns that previously seemed invisible. This perspective invites us to look behind the scenes of life, to realize that nothing happens by chance, and that, even when circumstances seem chaotic, there is an invisible order guiding events and offering opportunities for learning and growth. By understanding and applying these messages from Emmanuel, we begin to notice small revelations in our daily lives, signs, coincidences, and opportunities that would previously have gone unnoticed, but which now become clear indications that we are in tune with the energy that connects us to everything. Now, as you internalize these ideas and reflect on how your life intertwines with this universal web, I want you to do a simple exercise. Think of an action or decision you made recently that seemed to have an impact beyond your expectations. Feel how it connects with everything around you, how its energy spreads and influences people, situations, or even events beyond your control. This practice of attention and awareness is exactly what Emmanuel taught us. To realize the power of our choices, how we are continually shaping our own reality with our thoughts and attitudes, comment there. That makes sense to me. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if we discovered that what we've always believed to be, spirituality, wasn't just a subjective perception, but something that science itself is beginning to prove? Stay with me, because what you're about to realize could transform the way you understand the energy that surrounds us, human consciousness, and even the very nature of the universe. In recent years, researchers in quantum physics, cosmology, and consciousness studies have begun making discoveries that seem, strikingly, to echo exactly what Emmanuel, Chico Xavier's mentor spirit, taught us decades ago. What was once seen as philosophy or a spiritual message is now supported by experiments, data, and theories that demonstrate a real interconnection between mind, energy, and reality. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because this is where one of the most fascinating experiences anyone can have when reflecting on life unfolds. Emmanuel spoke of consciousness as an active force, capable of influencing the environment around us, and that the universe is not an empty, random space, but rather a web of interconnected energy and constant movement and interaction. Today, modern science is beginning to show that this vision is not only poetic, but plausible. Quantum physics studies show that the observer influences the behavior of matter, that particles behave differently depending on who is observing, and that human consciousness is not a passive spectator, but an active agent in the creation of reality. This is exactly what Emmanuel was telling us, that our intentions, thoughts, and feelings have an impact, and that this energy flows in invisible but very real ways. Imagine realizing that every decision you make, every thought you cultivate is connecting you to a much larger network of energy and possibilities. This is fascinating because it's not just an abstract theory, but something that's beginning to be measured and studied with scientific rigor. Scientists are still surprised by these discoveries because they challenge decades of traditional understanding about the universe and the human mind. They encounter evidence that our perceptions, our choices, and even our emotions can, in fact, influence matter, generating effects previously considered impossible. And for those familiar with Emmanuel's messages, this is no surprise. He spoke about this clearly, explaining that the universe is intelligent, conscious, and deeply interconnected, and that understanding these invisible laws is essential to living more fully and consciously. And this convergence between science and spirituality is not only fascinating from a theoretical perspective, it allows us to see the world with a depth that previously seemed inaccessible. When we understand that consciousness has a direct effect on reality, we begin to perceive the impact of our choices, even in the simplest, everyday situations. Emmanuel taught us that nothing happens by chance, that every experience carries a lesson, and that by aligning our thoughts and actions with this universal energy, we can generate real transformation, both in our lives and in the environment around us. It's an opportunity to see behind the scenes of life, to perceive patterns, signals, and connections that would otherwise go unnoticed. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because this scientific discovery not only confirms Emmanuel's messages, but also expands our capacity for reflection about ourselves and the universe. Think of consciousness as a kind of antenna that receives and emits energy, connecting each individual to an invisible network of information, opportunities, and possibilities. It's impressive to realize that, even without realizing it, every gesture of love, every positive thought, every decision made with attention and intention reverberates within this network in ways that can influence not only our own destiny, but also that of the people and situations around us. Emmanuel repeatedly drew attention to this, that our choices carry energy, that every action has an impact, and that this truth is not only spiritual, but a universal principle that governs all creation. Experts studying consciousness, neuroscience, and modern physics often cite these discoveries as revelations that still astound the scientific community. What's most intriguing is that, while many scientists are dedicated to measuring and explaining seemingly invisible phenomena, Emmanuel already spoke to us about them with clarity and authority. As someone who understood the inner workings of life, the subtle forces that move the universe, and the laws governing energy and consciousness, it's a connection that sparks curiosity, amazement, and also a profound sense of wonder, because we realize there's much more going on around us than meets the eye. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because understanding this intersection between science and spirituality allows us not only to observe the world more closely, but also to make more conscious choices, aligned with the energy of the universe. It's an opportunity to reflect on our decisions, the mindset we adopt daily, and the impact each action generates, no matter how small. Emmanuel showed us that life is a journey of constant learning, where each experience is a piece of this great universal puzzle, and that awareness of how we act can generate profound transformations in our perception, our behavior, and the reality that surrounds us. By integrating these discoveries, we begin to realize that science and spirituality are not in opposition, but rather complementary. Modern revelations in quantum physics, cosmology, and consciousness studies seem to only confirm what Emmanuel has been saying for decades, that we are part of an interconnected whole, that our choices matter, that energy, intention, and consciousness are real forces that influence life in subtle and powerful ways. This realization allows us to reflect on our own journey, on how we can align our mindset and actions with this hidden truth, and on the kind of impact we wish to make in the world. Now, as you contemplate these ideas and begin to sense the depth of this connection between science and spirit, I want you to reflect on something practical. Think of a recent moment when a decision you made generated unexpected consequences, whether positive or challenging, and imagine how that choice fits into this flow of energy and universal interconnection. This awareness transforms the way we perceive each moment, each gesture, each thought, creating space for learning, transformation, and a clearer vision of our own lives. Right there, I'm on this journey too. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic because understanding Emmanuel's messages isn't just a thought exercise. It's a real opportunity to transform the way we live, feel, and make decisions every day. Imagine looking at your daily routine with the awareness that every action, every thought, and every word has an impact. Not just on you, but on the environment around you, the people you meet, and even the energy of the universe itself. This realization completely changes your mindset. It no longer feels like we're small, isolated pieces, but instead embraces the understanding that we're part of an invisible network, where everything is interconnected, everything influences, and everything reverberates. If you could perceive this interconnection in every moment of your day, how would it change your attitudes? Imagine that every act of kindness, every decision made with intention and attention, is not just symbolic, but a real movement within a larger web of energy. Emmanuel reminded us that life is much more than mere coincidences. Every situation, every encounter, And even every challenge carries opportunities for learning and transformation. And the most fascinating thing is that this perception doesn't have to be abstract or difficult to apply. It can become practical, visible in small, everyday choices. When waking up, when talking to someone, when deciding how to react to a difficulty, we can begin to align our actions with the universal consciousness that Emmanuel taught us to perceive. Applying this wisdom also involves the ability to reflect and observe, creating moments of pause where we can meditate on our attitudes and intentions. For example, before reacting impulsively to a challenging situation, we can stop and consider, what is the real impact of this action? Is it aligned with the energy I wish to propagate? This practice of attention and intention transforms not only the situation itself, but also our perception of ourselves and the world around us. It's a shift in mindset, in consciousness, that allows us to act more strategically and aligned with a greater purpose. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because understanding how to apply these messages also leads us to realize the importance of observing patterns and subtle signs that appear in our lives. Emmanuel said that nothing happens by chance. And when we begin to see life as a series of interconnected opportunities, we begin to realize how our decisions affect not only the present, but also our future trajectory. Every conscious choice, however small, creates ripples of impact that can influence events in ways we cannot fully measure. This is the beauty of the journey, realizing that each gesture carries a power that often goes unnoticed, but is real and transformative. When we apply this wisdom, we also discover a profound kind of comfort, understanding that there is an order, even an invisible one, that guides events, allows us to deal with uncertainty and challenges more calmly. We begin to see obstacles as lessons, mistakes as opportunities for growth, and victories as a result of the harmony between our choices and the energy that connects us to the whole. Emmanuel showed us that living consciously is not about perfection, but about perception and intention, recognizing that each moment is a chance to align our actions with something greater, to generate a positive impact, and to evolve on our personal journey. As we reflect on all this, the practical question also arises: how can we apply these teachings to our daily lives? We can start by creating small routines of mindfulness and observation. We can jot down thoughts and feelings, meditate on important decisions, question our intentions, and seek to perceive the real impact of our actions. These simple but consistent habits serve as exercises in alignment with universal energy, allowing us to feel the connection Emmanuel described, perceive patterns that would otherwise go unnoticed, and understand the true scope of our choices. Furthermore, this practical application leads us to a state of greater empathy and compassion. When we understand that everything is interconnected, that our actions resonate with the people and situations around us, we begin to act with greater care, understanding, and attention. This not only improves our relationships, but transforms the very way we experience life. We begin to perceive beauty, meaning, and purpose in even the simplest situations. Our mindset expands, our consciousness elevates, and the feeling of being aligned with the flow of the universe generates a peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances, but rather on a deep connection with what Emmanuel called the invisible laws of life. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because understanding and applying these messages also challenges us to rethink our priorities and values. Every conscious choice becomes an opportunity to create impact, to act more intentionally, and to contribute to something greater than ourselves. It's an invitation to transform habits, adjust decisions, cultivate positive thoughts, and realize that the path of personal evolution is not linear, but permeated by discoveries, adjustments, and revelations that only become clear when we begin to pay attention to the energy that surrounds us and how our actions reverberate. By putting these ideas into practice, we begin to notice subtle, transformative effects. An encouraging word can change someone's day. A kind gesture can spark a chain of positive actions. A conscious decision can prevent conflict or create new opportunities. Emmanuel taught us that even in the simplest details, there is room to exert influence and promote harmony. And that understanding this hidden truth is one of the keys to living a more fulfilled, connected, and conscious life. Now, as you reflect on how to apply this wisdom to your own life, think about a recent decision that could have been guided by greater awareness and intention. Imagine the impact it could have had, not just on you, but on your entire environment, and how small shifts in perception and attitude can begin to transform reality gradually, but profoundly. This exercise of observation and reflection is the essence of the practical application of Emmanuel's messages, revealing that by connecting consciousness, energy, and intention, we can not only understand the universe, but also align with it in a real and transformative way. Comment there. That makes sense to me. And if you've made it this far, you've already realized how much these reflections can transform the way we view life, the universe, and even ourselves. So, if this content resonated with you and sparked new insights, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. The idea here is to continue exploring these messages, bringing greater clarity about consciousness, energy, and the wisdom Emmanuel shared with the world. Also, leave a comment saying, "I'm with you until the end," if you've followed this journey with me. Because your participation makes all the difference and helps me continue bringing this content that connects science, spirituality, and practical life. If this video touched you, give it a quick like, showing that we're aligned in this search for understanding and meaning, and that you'd like to continue exploring these ideas in depth. And there's a video right here that complements this topic, delving even deeper into the discoveries and reflections that can impact your daily life. So click and stay with me there to continue unraveling these incredible connections that Emmanuel left us as a legacy.